This skillet cooked meals for 8 generations. This Ferro rod started fires before your great-grandpa was born, and it's still working today. Meanwhile, your $20 tactical flashlight just died in the rain. Let me show you the 15 tools the Amish use, because they know what lasts. I'm Davis. I've been prepping since 2012, and back then I spent over $1,200 on gear that looked like it came straight out of a Navy SEAL catalog, only to watch it crack, rust, and die the first time I actually needed it. Plastic buckles shattered in minus 10 degrees F, cheap knives snapped trying to split kindling, solar chargers dead after one winter. I was chasing the illusion of preparedness, the sleek, tactical, battery-powered fantasy. But the Amish, they've been chasing something far more powerful, forever. They weren't being stubborn. They weren't stuck in the past. They were engineering resilience, choosing tools that don't need charging, don't break in the cold, and don't vanish when the grid goes dark. Today, I'm showing you the 15 survival tools they still use, the ones that outlive you, your kids, and even your grandchildren. These aren't Amazon impulse buys. These are heirlooms forged in fire, passed down in silence, and trusted across centuries. And if you think this doesn't apply to you because you live in the city, you're wrong. When the lights go out, it's not the guy with the most gear who survives. It's the one with the one tool that still works. Stick around, because number 7 will make you cry. Number 13 is how humans lit their first fires 10,000 years ago. And if you've ever thrown away broken gear and said, "I'll just buy a new one," comment, "I'm done with plastic." I'm replying to the first 50. 1. Cast iron cookware. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. That's heavy and messy. Good, because lightweight is the enemy of anything that lasts. Cast iron doesn't just survive fire, it thrives in it. You can drop it on rocks, bang it against a tree, toss it straight into red-hot campfire coals. It won't warp, crack, or quit. In fact, it gets better every time you use it. That dark, smooth crust on the surface, that's not dirt. It's liquid gold. It's oil baked into the metal over years of cooking, forming a natural, non-toxic, self-repairing non-stick layer your great-grandma built one meal at a time. Compare that to modern non-stick pans. Scratch them once and they start flaking. Heat them too high and they release toxic fumes. Most wear out in a year or two, then end up in a landfill. Cast iron? My great-grandma's skillet cooked Sunday ham through the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and 3 family moves. It's still in use today. Mine's been on daily duty for 18 years. Soups, seared meat, cornbread over open flame, and it's smoother and more reliable than the day I bought it. And care for it is simple. Hot water, a stiff brush, dry it well, rub in a thin coat of oil. No soap needed, no dishwasher, no nonsense. Just clean, simple, honest maintenance. You don't baby cast iron, you use it, abuse it even, and it rewards you with generations of service. If you only get one tool from this whole list, make it a cast iron skillet. Not for looks, not for convenience, but because it's one of the few things you'll buy once and never replace, ever. 2. Ferro rod. You've seen those tiny ferro rods stuck on keychains. Cheap, thin, useless. They spark once, then die. Don't waste your money on those. The real one is thick, like your thumb, 5 inches long, heavy, solid. You hold it like a tool, not a toy. A good ferro rod doesn't just give you sparks, it gives you years, tens of thousands of them. A Bic lighter, maybe 3,000 lights before it's empty. Matches, gone in a minute. This, it lasts decades. No fuel, no battery, no wick to rot. Just steel and ferrocerium. It works when it's freezing, when it's pouring rain, when your hands are numb. I lit a fire in a snowstorm with one. My buddy next to me, he was shaking, holding his dead lighter, begging for a spark. I didn't say a word, just scraped. Sparks flew, dry tinder caught, fire started. He stared. Then he asked, "Where'd you get that?" I told him, I didn't buy it, I invested in it. That's the difference. Most people buy gear that runs out. I carry fire that never ends. A thin rod? Useless. A real one? It's a lifeline. You don't need a fancy striker, just a piece of steel. Hold the rod, scrape hard, let the sparks fall into your tinder. It's not magic, it's physics, and it's older than matches, older than lighters, older than your grandpa. If you're going to carry one fire starter for life, this is it. No charging, no refilling, no expiration date. It doesn't care if you drop it in mud, or bury it under snow, or leave it in the trunk for 10 years. Pull it out, light. Done. I've had mine since 2014. I use it every fall to start my first campfire. It still throws sparks like day one. No wear, no fade, no lie. This isn't survival gear. It's survival insurance. And it costs less than a pizza. But it'll outlive your phone, your flashlight, even your car. Buy one. Keep it in your pocket. Never leave home without it. 3. Fixed blade knife. You don't need a knife with 17 tools. You don't need a flipper, a button, or a tactical finish. You need one thing, a blade that doesn't break. A full tang. That means the steel runs all the way through the handle. No plastic, no weak pins, no hidden failure. When you swing it to split wood, when you carve a shelter, when you gut a rabbit, your knife doesn't snap. It holds. I've seen guys buy $300 tactical knives with fancy handles, then watch the blade pop off after one hard chop. Don't be that guy. Go simple, go strong. High carbon steel holds the sharpest edge. It's easier to resharpen in the field with a rock if you have to. Or go stainless if you hate rust, but know this, even stainless can dull fast if it's cheap. Stick with Mora, EC, or K-Bar. They're not flashy, they're not on TikTok, but they've been in the hands of hunters, loggers, and survivalists for decades. I've used mine every single day since 2015. Cut rope, open cans, carved tent stakes, clean fish, split kindling. It's got nicks, it's got scratches, it's got stories, but it still slices through leather like butter. And it costs less than your phone charger. That's the trick. You don't pay for looks, you pay for steel, for weight, for balance, for the kind of trust you only earn after years of use. A good knife doesn't need a sheath with MOLE straps. It just needs to be cleaned after use, dried, oiled once in a while, sharpened when it gets dull. That's it. No batteries, no apps, no manuals. Just you, your hands, and a blade that remembers every job it ever did. I've given this knife to friends who swore they'd never use it. They came back a year later, holding it like a relic. I didn't think it'd last, they said, but I couldn't stop using it. That's the sign of real gear. It doesn't just survive, it becomes part of you. And when you pass it down, you're not giving them a tool, you're giving them a promise. 4. Military lensatic compass. GPS dies, batteries drain, satellites glitch, but the Earth, it still spins, and it still has a magnetic field. That's why the compass never fails. Not in the snow, not in the storm, not when the world goes quiet. I'm not talking about the flimsy plastic thing you get at the gas station. I'm talking about the real one, the kind that U.S. military issued in 1940, the lensatic compass. Heavy, solid, made of brass and steel. It doesn't have a screen, no buttons, no Bluetooth, just a needle, a liquid-filled capsule, and a glowing vial that lights up for over a decade. No charging, no batteries, no magic. I've used mine in blackout zones, in dense forests where trees block every signal, and during a winter hike when my phone froze solid. It didn't blink, it didn't glitch. It just pointed north. Always. And here's what most people don't know. This isn't just for finding direction. With a string and this compass, you can measure distance, map your land, mark property lines, even build a shelter aligned with the sun. I once taught a teenager how to navigate with nothing but this and a 50-foot rope. In 20 minutes, he found his way back to camp. No app, no Wi-Fi, no panic. That's power. A cheap compass costs $8 and dies in 6 months. This one? I bought mine in 2013. It's been in my pocket through floods, fires, and freezing nights. The casing is scratched, the lanyard's frayed, but the needle still spins true. You can drop it, run over it, bury it in mud, pull it out, wipe it off, and it works. No firmware updates, no recalls, no expiration date. If you own one thing to keep you from getting lost when everything else fails, This is it. It doesn't need a charger, it doesn't need a signal, it just needs you to know how to use it. And that's a skill you never forget. 5. Stainless steel water bottle. Forget plastic, forget aluminum, forget those fancy insulated bottles with all the bells and whistles. The real one? Just steel. Simple, thick, unbreakable. I've had mine since 2013. Dropped it off a rock, slammed it in my truck door, left it in the snow all winter. It's dented, it's got scratches, but it still holds water, like it always has. This isn't some trendy brand. It's an 18/8 food-grade stainless steel bottle, single wall, no insulation, no plastic lining, just pure metal. Plastic bottles, they crack in the cold. They leach chemicals when they sit in the sun. Aluminum tastes like metal, and it dents so easy you can't even carry it in your pack without fear. Glass shatters, but steel, it laughs at abuse. I've boiled water in mine over an open fire, just took off the cap and set it on the coals. Try that with plastic. Go ahead, I'll wait. You can't. Steel handles heat like it was made for it. And cleaning it? One rinse with hot water. A little baking soda for stubborn gunk. No special brushes, no disassembling tubes or valves that grow mold. Just fill, drink, rinse, repeat. Forever. Clean Canteen makes these. They've been making them since before you were born. And they offer a lifetime warranty, not because they're confident, but because they know it's true. I've met people who still use the same bottle their grandpa bought in the 1990s. No rust, no leaks, no decay. Just steel, holding water, just like it always did. You don't need a 64-ounce monster. A 32 or 40-ounce bottle is perfect. Fits in your hand, fits in your pack, fits in your life. And when your kids are grown, they'll find it in the garage. Dust it off, fill it up, and drink from the same bottle you did. No batteries, no circuits, no plastic waste. Just one quiet, tough, unshakable thing that outlasts trends, tech, and time. You buy it once, then you stop thinking about it, because it never lets you down. Number 6. Hand axes and saw. You don't need a chainsaw. You don't need gas. You don't need a spark plug. What you need is a blade that doesn't quit. An axe with a real edge, forged in steel, not stamped out in a factory. I'm talking about a Brooks or a Holtzbrook. The handle, wood, replaceable. The head, one solid piece of high-carbon steel. You can chop through frozen logs, split kindling for weeks, even hack through roots and brush. And when the handle finally wears out, you don't throw it away. You buy a new one for less than $30. The head? Still good for another 100 years. I've seen axes from the 1800s still in use, not as museum pieces, as tools, daily tools. Same with the bow saw. A good one has a steel frame that lasts forever. The blades? Cheap, easy to store. Keep 10 spare ones in a tin. You'll cut through branches, build shelters, clear paths without a single drop of fuel. I've used mine since 2014. No motor, no battery, no noise. Just the rhythm of pull, cut, repeat. Japanese pull saws? Even better. They slice faster than push saws. Less effort, more control. But if you want pure, unbreakable durability, go with the bow saw. No gears, no springs, no plastic parts that snap in the cold. Just steel and wood. And if you want something even tougher, a one-piece steel axe. No handle at all. Just a single chunk of metal. Heavy, brutal. It'll knock your shoulder silly with every swing, but it won't break. Not ever. I've seen one survive being run over by a tractor. Still sharp, still working. These aren't fancy tools. They're quiet ones. The kind your great-grandfather used. The kind that don't need a manual, or a charger, or a warranty. You don't buy them because they're cool. You buy them because they're unstoppable. Clean them after use. Oil the steel, keep them dry. That's it. Then let them sit in the shed. Wait for the day you need them. And when that day comes, you'll be glad you didn't wait for electricity to come back on. Number 7, wool blanket. You think it's just a blanket. You picture it on the couch, soft, old, maybe a little itchy. But this isn't decor. This is survival armor. Wool doesn't just keep you warm, it keeps you alive even when it's soaked. Down, wet, and you freeze. Polyester, melt from a spark. Wool still traps heat, still insulates. I've slept in a snowdrift wrapped in one. Rain poured down. My clothes were soaked. But me? I stayed dry inside. Not because it was waterproof, because wool breathes. It holds heat even when wet, and it won't catch fire. A spark from the campfire? It just smolders. No flames, no melting, no toxic fumes. Military surplus wool blankets? The best you can find. Made for soldiers in World War II. Thick, heavy, tough as nails. I bought mine for $35. It's 80 years old. Still warm, still whole. No holes, no fraying, just wool woven tight. Wash it, cold water, mild soap. Lay it flat to dry. Once a year. That's it. No special care, no magic spray, no zipper to break, no baffles to collapse. Just wool. And it lasts. I've seen one from 1942 still in use today, passed from father to son to grandson. It's been used as a shelter, a ground pad, a pack liner, a tarp tie down, a bandage, a signal flag. It doesn't need a brand. It doesn't need a label. It just needs to be used. And it will. Every winter, every emergency, every time the power goes out. Synthetic sleeping bags? They wear out in 3 years. Wool? It gets better. Softens. Wraps around you like a second skin. You don't own it. You inherit it. And when you're gone, someone else will pull it from the chest, wrap themselves in it, and say, "This kept me alive." That's not gear. That's legacy. And it costs less than a pair of hiking boots. But it does more. Much more. 8, full-grained leather. You think leather is just for boots and belts? Think again. This isn't fashion. This is function. Real leather, full grain, not bonded, not coated, not fake, doesn't crack, it doesn't peel, it doesn't die after a year. It ages, like fine wine, like an old book. I've worn the same belt for 12 years, not because I forgot to replace it, because I didn't want to. It's scratched, it's darkened, it smells like smoke and sweat and campfires, and it's stronger now than the day I bought it. Cheap synthetic belts? They snap at the buckle, they split at the holes, they turn brittle in the sun. Leather? You oil it once a year. Mink oil, $8 a bottle, lasts 5 years. Rub it in, let it soak, wipe off the rest. That's all. No special tools, no instructions, just touch and time. Same with boots. A good pair of full-grain work boots, $200. Sounds steep until you realize you'll never buy another pair again. I've had mine since 2015. Resoled them twice, relaced them 3 times, cleaned them after every muddy hike. They fit me better now than when they were new, because leather molds to you. It remembers your steps, your weight, your walk. Synthetic hiking boots? They glue together, they soften, they fall apart in 2 years. Leather? It holds. Even when you're dragging yourself through brush, even when your feet are sore, even when the ground is ice. You don't just wear leather, you earn it. And when it finally wears out, you don't throw it away. You give it to your kid, or your neighbor, or your grandson. He'll take it to the cobbler, get it fixed, keep using it. Leather doesn't need a warranty. It needs care. And that care? It's simple, it's quiet, it's old, and it's the only kind that lasts. You don't buy leather because it's tough. You buy it because it's loyal, and it never quits. 9. Hand crank and solar tools. You think electronics fail? They do. Every time. But not these. not the right ones. A hand crank radio isn't magic. It's simple. Turn the handle, a tiny generator spins, electricity flows, radio turns on. No battery, no charger, no plug. I've used mine during 3 power outages, each longer than the last. When the news went silent, this thing kept me listening. Emergency alerts, weather updates. No signal? Doesn't matter. It runs on your arms. And the LED light lasts 50,000 hours. That's over 5 years of constant use. You'll outlive the bulb. Same with solar panels. If you skip the built-in battery, don't buy the combo pack. Buy just the panel. Crystalline silicone, glass cover, no electronics inside, just pure sunlight to electricity. I've got a 20-watt folding one. Been outside since 2016. Sun, rain, snow, dust, still charges my phone, still powers my radio. No controller to fry, no lithium to swell, no expiration date. Just glass and silicone. 2 materials that don't decay. You plug it straight into your device. No middleman, no failure points. That's the secret. Most solar gear dies because of the battery. This, the panel never does. I've seen panels from the 1990s still working. Not because they're fancy, because they're bare, honest, built to last. You don't need a solar-powered lantern with 10 settings. You need one thing, the ability to charge your phone when the grid's gone. That's it. A hand crank radio, a solar panel, together, they're your lifeline. No fuel, no wires, no company that stops making parts. Just you, your hands, and the sun. And when the world gets quiet, these are the tools that still speak. You don't need to be a tech guy. You just need to turn the crank or angle the panel and wait. The world doesn't need more gadgets. It needs tools that don't need the world to keep running. This is one of them. 10. Manual power tools. You don't need electricity to eat. You don't need a plug to sew. You don't need a pump to drink. What you need is muscle and simple machines. A hand crank grain mill? Just 2 steel burrs spinning inside a cast iron body. No motor, no circuit board, no battery. Grind wheat into flour? Turn the handle. That's it. My neighbor's mill is from 1912, still makes perfect flour. No rust, no breakdown, just oil every few months. A treadle sewing machine? Foot pedal, no plug, just metal gears and a needle. My great-aunt used hers to mend uniforms in 1943. I use it now to fix torn tarps and worn-out boots. No one sells these anymore, but they're still out there, in barns, basements, garage sales, for less than $50, and they'll outlive your smart fridge. A hand pump for your well? Leather seal, steel rod, wooden handle. Pull the handle down, water rises. No electricity, no wires, no waiting. I watched an Amish man pump water from 80 feet deep for 3 hours straight just to fill a barrel. He didn't complain. He didn't curse the power outage. He just kept pulling because he knew if you can move the handle, you can move the water. These tools aren't relics. They're backups, real ones. When the grid dies, your phone dies, your generator dies, but your hands still work. Your arms still strong. And a well-made machine still turns. No software to update, no parts to order, no warranty to call, just you and the tool and the job that needs doing. You don't buy these because they're convenient. You buy them because they're unstoppable. They don't ask for power. They don't wait for a signal. They just do. And when the world forgets how to fix things, these tools remember. They've been doing it for 200 years. They'll do it for 200 more. 11. Leatherman or Victorinox multi-tool. You don't need 10 separate tools. You need one that does them all and doesn't quit. I've carried my Leatherman Wave since 2009. It's been in my pocket through snow, mud, rain, and fire. Cut rope, open cans, tighten screws, pry open boxes, snip wire, even crack open a stubborn jar lid. It's scratched, the blades are duller, The pliers don't click like new, but it still works. Every single time. This isn't a toy, it's a working tool, made from stainless steel. No plastic, no weak hinges, no parts that snap when you need them most. I've seen cheap multi-tools from the gas station, plastic handles, flimsy blades, break in 2 weeks. This, it's built like a tank, and Leatherman doesn't just sell them, they stand behind them. 25-year warranty. I dropped mine off a porch once, cracked the handle, sent it in, they replaced it, free. No receipt, no fuss. That's trust. A Victorinox is the same. Solid, simple, no gimmicks, just pliers, knife, saw, screwdrivers, can opener, all locked in place. No spinning, no slipping, no surprise. You don't need a multi-tool with 27 tools. You need the 5 you actually use, and they need to be strong enough to survive your worst day. I've used mine to fix a broken trailer hitch, to cut a seatbelt in a wreck, to open emergency rations in a blackout. It's never failed, not once. You carry it every day, not because it's cool, but because you know, when you need it, it'll be there. No charging, no batteries, no apps, just steel and your hands. That's all it takes. You don't buy a multi-tool to look tough. You buy it because you've been stuck before, and you never want to be stuck again. This one, it doesn't ask for permission, it just gets the job done. 12. Pressure canner. You don't need a freezer. You don't need electricity. You just need fire and one heavy pot that won't quit. I'm talking about an all-American pressure canner. Cast aluminum, thick, solid. No rubber gasket to rot, no plastic parts to melt, just a metal-to-metal seal that lasts forever. My grandma used hers in 1951 to can peaches. I used mine last fall to can beef stew. Same pot, same lid, same pressure valve. It doesn't wear out, it just works. You put in meat, beans, vegetables, anything low acid, and you seal it under pressure. Heat it on a wood stove, a propane burner, even a campfire. The steam reaches 240 degrees F, kills botulism, keeps food safe for years. No fridge, no power, just jars and time. Modern canners, they have plastic knobs, electric sensors, cheap seals that crack after 2 years. This, it's built like a steam engine. You can drop it, scrub it with steel wool, leave it outside all winter. It still seals, still holds pressure, still keeps your food alive. I've seen one from 1938 still in use. The woman who owned it, she'd outlived 3 husbands. The canner, still perfect. You don't need to be a homesteader to use it. You just need to care about food that lasts. When the grocery shelves are empty and your freezer's dead, this is your lifeline. You grow tomatoes, can them. Hunt deer, can the meat. Find wild berries, can them too. One pot, one fire. Hundreds of meals saved. No batteries, no apps, no instructions you need to Google. Just heat, pressure, time, and patience. You don't buy this for fun. You buy it because one day you'll be glad you did. When the world goes quiet and your pantry is bare, this is the tool that keeps you fed. Not with hype, not with tech, but with quiet, stubborn, unbreakable reliability. It doesn't just can food, it preserves your future. 13. Flint and steel. You think fire starts with a button, a spark, a lighter? Try this. A rock, a piece of steel, and your hands. Flint and steel isn't fancy, it's ancient. Humans used it for 10,000 years, long before matches, long before batteries, long before you were born. And it still works. A chunk of flint, a rock. Hard, sharp. Doesn't degrade, doesn't leak, doesn't expire. The steel, high carbon. Not the cheap kind, the kind that sparks when you strike it hard and fast. You don't need a fancy striker. Just hold the flint, angle it, scrape the steel down its edge, tiny bits of metal fly off, hot, igniting, landing in char cloth or dry moss or pine needles, and boom, fire. No fuel, no plastic, no circuitry, just stone and metal. I've done it in rain, in wind, in freezing dark. My fingers were numb, my clothes soaked, but the sparks still flew. My buddy with the $60 survival lighter, he had 3 left, then nothing. I had flint and steel and 5 minutes of patience. That's the difference. You don't learn this to be cool. You learn it because one day you won't have anything else. No batteries, no stores, no replacements. Just you and what you can make with your hands. Flint won't rust. Steel won't die. Charcloth? You can make it from a rag and a fire. Everything you need is already here. No brand, no warranty, no expiration date. You don't buy it because it's easy. You buy it because it's enduring. It doesn't care if the world collapses. It doesn't need a signal. It doesn't need a charge. It just needs you to remember how to use it. And once you do, you'll never be helpless again. This isn't a tool for the outdoors. It's a tool for the end of the world. And it's the last fire starter standing. 14. Canvas tarp. You don't need a lightweight, ultra-thin tarp that tears in the wind. You need something that holds, something that outlasts the storm. I'm talking about a real canvas tarp, thick, heavy, woven tight, treated with beeswax or paraffin. Not the $12 nylon junk from the hardware store. That stuff, it cracks in the sun. It melts near fire. It tears if a branch falls on it. This, it laughs at branches. It shrugs off rain. It lasts 20, 30 years, if you treat it right. I've used mine since 2011. Been a roof, a ground sheet, a rain catcher, a windbreak, a pack cover, a shelter for stray dogs during a blizzard. It's faded, it's got a few patches, but it still sheds water like it's brand new. You don't leave it out in the sun for months. You don't store it wet. You clean it, dry it, re-wax it every few years. That's it. No special spray, no magic formula, just beeswax and patience. Military surplus? Even better. These tarps were made to protect gear in combat zones. Thick, dense, built for abuse. I found one for $40 at a surplus store. It weighed 12 pounds. I thought it was ridiculous. Now, I wouldn't trade it for a dozen ultralight tarps, because when the wind howls and the rain comes sideways, this one doesn't flap, doesn't tear, doesn't leak. It just holds. You don't buy a tarp because it's light. You buy it because it's unbreakable. It doesn't need a brand name. It doesn't need Velcro or grommets that snap off. It just needs to be there when you need it most. When the power's out, when the tree falls, when your roof leaks, when your tent fails. This is your shield, your cover, your second skin. And it doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care if you're ready. It just waits, quiet, strong, ready. And when you finally need it, it won't let you down. This isn't a tool for the outdoors. It's a tool for the end of the world. And it's the last fire starter standing. 15. Rope. You don't need fancy cord. You don't need glow-in-the-dark paracord with 7 inner strands nobody ever uses. You need rope that holds, that doesn't rot, that doesn't snap when you're hanging food from a bear, tying down a tarp, or pulling a stuck vehicle out of mud. I keep 100 feet of static climbing rope in my truck. It's not pretty, it's not colorful, it's just nylon, strong, UV-resistant, built to hold over 5,000 pounds. I've used it to rig a shelter in a hurricane, to haul firewood up a hill, to make a clothesline when the power was out for 3 weeks. It's been dragged through mud, soaked in rain, left in the sun for months. Still works, still strong. Natural fiber? Manila hemp. Tough, cheap, lasts decades if kept dry. Used for centuries on ships. Still holds. Just don't let it sit wet. Rot kills it. Nylon doesn't. You don't need 200 feet. You don't need 10 knots. You just need enough. And you always need more than you think. I've seen guys with fancy survival kits, flashlights, filters, knives, fail because they forgot rope, couldn't tie a tarp, couldn't hang a bear bag, couldn't secure a boat. Rope isn't glamorous. It's quiet. It's humble. But it's everywhere in survival. You can't build a shelter without it. You can't carry water without it. You can't climb, drag, bind, or lift without it. And when everything else breaks, rope still holds. You coil it right, store it out of the sun, check it once a year for frays. That's it. No batteries, no apps, no instructions. Just you and the rope, and the job you need to do. It won't make headlines, it won't trend on TikTok, but when the world goes dark and you're standing there with a broken tarp and no way to fix it, you'll be glad you didn't skip the rope. Because sometimes the thing that saves you isn't the flashiest tool. It's the one you didn't think to bring. And you brought it anyway. So here's the truth. None of these tools were designed to impress. They weren't made for Instagram posts or tactical YouTube ads. They were made by people who knew the world doesn't always wait for you to charge your battery or order a replacement. The Amish didn't invent these things because they were stuck in the past. They kept them because they worked when everything else failed. These aren't relics, they're resilience. Cast iron that cooks for centuries, a ferro rod that sparks through snowstorms, a wool blanket that keeps you alive when wet, a knife, a compass, a rope, each one built not for trend, but for time. You don't buy them because they're cheap. You buy them because you'll never need to buy another one. This isn't about being a prepper. It's about being smart. It's about choosing what lasts over what looks cool. It's about knowing that when the grid dies, your phone won't save you, but that old steel bottle might. When the cold sets in, your down sleeping bag won't help, but that wool blanket will. When you're lost, GPS won't guide you, but a compass will. These tools don't ask for power. They don't need updates. They don't break because the world changed. They just keep working because they were made to. If this video made you look at your gear differently, if it made you wonder what's still sitting in your garage or your closet or your grandpa's shed, then you're already ahead of most. Don't wait for disaster to start building real preparedness. Start with one thing: a skillet, a knife, a rope, one tool that lasts. Then add another, slowly, steadily, without hype. If you're done chasing disposable gear, comment, "I'm done with plastic." I read every one. If this helped you see what really matters, hit like. It tells YouTube this matters. Subscribe if you want more real skills, no fluff, no fear, just tools that last. And share this with someone who still thinks survival gear needs a battery. Because the future doesn't need more gadgets. It needs more people who know how to use what lasts.